Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me as always is
Big Josh,
as well as
the Professor.
And Cam 2 is off on assignments, but we are here to say we finally watched Punisher, The Last Kill, Long Kiss Goodnight, something, please go away and die. I'm sad and no one wants to talk to me. I'm all alone.
Well, officially, Punisher, The Last Kill, I think,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
But, unofficially, Blerdlines, I'm calling it Punisher, the almost last kill, but we know he's coming back to kill some more.
The next to last kill.
At some point. He'll never have a last kill until he's killed. And even then, the last thing he does will be killing someone as he's dying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I would say, it was weird because it's one of those things where, they announced Daredevil, Born Again. We watched, Josh and I also watched that. And watching Punisher and then watching Daredevil combined, it felt like this was like a skipped episode in Daredevil, essentially, just turned up a little bit because of violence. And then so we get Frank Castle. He's sad again after he killed everyone and he's alone. He's kind of mulling around with his life. Maybe he wants to kill himself. Maybe not.
Sad is an understatement. Damn, I think you mean he's having a complete psychotic break.
Yes,
he's having a complete psychotic break at the start of this TV special event, as they're
special event. And it was interesting too because did they say when this took place within the continuity
between seasons of Daredevil?
Okay,
so that would have been before his appearance in Born Again season 2.
And I think that's the other part too, right? They didn't really set it up that way either. They kind of just drop you in. Again, I love a drop in. Drop me in, stuff's going on, and then take me out. Okay, cool. But you can still tell a cool, complete story, beginning, middle, and end, and then take us out. And then that character keeps going on to whatever they're doing. And I think that's what they were trying to do here. But instead, they're just like, have you seen a couple of the Hong Kong martial arts films where there's usually a guy in a building and a bunch of other guys are rushing to kill him? Let's do that, but American.
That's a good point. I thought it kind of felt like a definitely inspired by that. But I also saw it because of the interesting runtime as almost like experimenting with the micro drama, but in still the traditional format. Because if you really think about the way this narrative is set up, it does, as you point out, just drop us in the middle of a day in the life of Frank Castle. We don't get much context about a lot of the things that we're seeing other than the initial setup and his psyche and what he's going through. But it is just almost like one of those anthology scenarios where it's the Punisher, a day in the life of the Punisher. This person is after him and throwing all these resources to try to kill him, and he's taking out everybody every which way. So that was the interesting setup. I don't know what the long-term plan might be for it.
And I can't even say I couldn't say it was good or bad. It was just kind of was.
Yeah.
And so it was cool seeing action. Love seeing Frank do Frank stuff. That was cool. You had Angela from Who's the Boss is the bad guy. Frank killed her whole family. So she now put a hit on him. Okay. That's a normal Punisher type of comic book thing. And I
have a question about that because you guys both watched Punisher season 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that a reference to something he did that we've seen, or is that something all new?
To my knowledge, it was new. And that's the part, again, that there was a weird question mark, right?
Yeah.
Here we have an established character, which is Frank Castle. The last time we saw him was in Daredevil Born Again season 1, where he helped Matt out, and then he gets captured by the fake Punishers. So then we see him again here. He's all dilapidated, complete opposite of what he was in Daredevil. So we don't know what happened. And then we have this new character introduced who now they've told us that he killed her whole family, and then they show it, whatever. And so she's trying to get some get back. But other than that, it didn't really have any connection to anything besides just Frank Castle, unless I'm missing something, Josh.
Officially, it's supposed to have taken place running parallel to Daredevil season 2.
And you get nothing in that in Punisher. Like you don't even get
you don't.
a newscast up like, hey, Kingpin's empire is toppled, or hey, Daredevil's been arrested. You don't get any of that. You just get him. I'm Frank. I'm suicidal. I'll have a mental breakdown, and then
I'm talking to myself in a hotel room.
And to be fair, I have a slightly different take. I think Frank without a mission is dangerous, a danger to himself and to others. And so in that regard, thinking that there's no other, that he's done, that he's finished everything that he needs to finish and has taken out all the, he, unlike Batman, who knows that his mission is never going to be done. Like he's going to die and the mission may not be finished and he's going to have to pass on the mantle. That's Bruce's thought process.
Yeah.
Frank, on the other hand, thinks he's done. He thinks that he's taken out everybody that needs to be taken out and that all the bad in the world, well, let me rephrase that. They frame it as him needing to have avenged his kids and his wife's death. And that once that was done, that was the mission. That was the original mission. And so once that's done, he has no fight left. He has no war left to fight. And so that in turn causes the psychotic break, which I thought personally was an interesting take. And I think Barenthal went somewhere. For the work that he seemed to put in, I'm really reticent to sort of criticize it as like, oh, it just was whatever. Like he really went some places, it would seem. Like he put in a lot of work into the scenes portraying the psychotic break.
Yeah, and I would say the best part about it is Barenthal, of course, playing Frank Castle. Like that's the best part of it, even if it's the rest around it was kind of shoddy and a little shaky. And I think that at that point, that part is cool. And I think that the lack of structure for everything else around it, it really did look like it like, honestly, it just felt like an off episode in Daredevil. Like literally, besides it being in the daytime and extra violence, like it literally was Daredevil who was like, oh, we're at, episode 7. Let's have a break from, let's go find out what's going on with break.
And to your point, it does kind of just I think you mentioned this at the beginning. While we love being dropped into a world that's already in progress, and so you aren't necessarily fully aware of the things that happened before, but it influences what's happening now and what's going to happen going forward. They don't do a good job of grounding you in that. It's just, Frank is talking himself and talking to what we're assuming are his dead war buddies from whatever war, I think Afghanistan, if I'm not mistaken. And so, he's having those moments of seeing these people who aren't there in the room and definitely aren't there anymore. And you don't really get, like Cam was saying, you don't really get a sense of what brought, like, okay, yeah, he thinks he's finished and he doesn't have anything else to do. And so because he's done now, he doesn't know what to do with himself. So he's suicidal and has a psychotic break and is seeing people that aren't there and in an empty room doing pull-ups to the point where his hands bleed and things like that. Like, that's cool. But you don't get like Cam said, you don't get grounded in anything solid that sort of sells the idea that this is why he is where he is. You don't really get a firm reminder that the mission was what we're assuming that that Punisher's mission is kill everything in sight that breaks the law. If you're a jaywalker, you might catch a bullet in the leg. Like that. That's the Punisher we know. And
but he hasn't morphed into that, and I think that was what this was trying to attempt to do, which is why once again we get a situation where we have a story about the Punisher and a Marvel character who is known for having an iconic look, and that look is put off until the very last moment of the story. If you're going to do this, I would rather it be that version of the Punisher. We get him to that. because quite frankly, this is why I like Ray Stevenson's version the most, because his torment was very quiet and directed at the criminals. You knew about his background. There was moments where they do a flash and we see him with his wife and his kid. But I don't know if we've ever had enough of that with this version of Punisher to be emotionally tied or care enough about these kinds of psychological moments in the characters, whatever this is supposed to be. This isn't a journey of any kind of import whatsoever. This is just John Berthal being the Punisher for 55 minutes. But beyond that, there's no real story here.
Well, I think we're supposed to tether it back to how this was all explained in the Netflix series.
I don't. Maybe that was the intent. They did not succeed.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. They don't succeed because, like, say for instance, in just reading up on Punisher season 1, it was essentially, after the family, after going through the people that's are responsible for his death, he starts to be a vigilante in the city. And then the second one, it's like something random, right? He gets pulled into a murder mystery from another teenager. So it's one of those things where, like, in the series, Punisher went to kill the people that kill his family, killed the people that kill his family. Cool. Second season, he's out in the woods, chilling, living his life, comes across an injustice. All of a sudden, should I go back to my old life? I'm Punisher. Let me go punish some people. And in this one, it literally didn't give you, it did, like, they have so much other things to draw from, and they could have easily just dropped those in. Again, as a wise man once said, one line of dialogue could have literally tied a bunch of these things together, but we didn't get that. We literally just got Punisher killing a bunch of people. Again, super fun. But, like, after that, like, what are we doing? And we did the classic thing that Professor D just said is Marvel always likes to do, right? Let's do a whole bunch of stuff, and then that last 5 seconds is like, dun, 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 now I'm putting on my the thing that
right.
Yeah, it's like Smallville. It's Smallville. It's like, the last
12
minutes of
12 seasons of the red blue blur.
And now all of a sudden we see the Superman suit, and it's like, but cut to black.
Season of no S. Yeah, 12 seasons of no S, and then we have a second of it.
Yeah, no, Marvel loves doing that, and I mean, I think they moved past it with the current Daredevil. Obviously, he was in his suit, but
but they did that with the Netflix series. Like, he doesn't don the suit until the end of season 1.
Yeah, right. I mean, no, you're right. They've done it repeatedly, and he was out of the suit most of season 1.
Of Born Again,
Born Again. The only reason is because he was very sad about Foggy Nelson's death, which, for me, no, I won't say that. That's a little dark.
No, I say it. Go ahead, man.
No, Josh. We won't talk about it. It's been a long time, and he's paid his due. So we won't hate on him.
I would say, now that we're, like, leading into the Daredevil talk, I would say, season 1 was Matlock Murdoch, where he was out here cyber crimes in a suit and blind all day, and then got 2 seconds of actual suit stuff, and then he finally got, like, it was just like, what are we doing? But then again, once Castle showed up, once Karen showed up, all right, now things started moving. It was starting
3 thumbs up.
Yeah, got really good. So then here we are, season 2. I'm like, hey, maybe they figured it out. Maybe they have a little bit of they got a little gumption now. Matt's out here knocking heads and doing stuff and starting to be a vigilante. And after, like, an episode, they go right back to it.
Yep.
And what I was going to say earlier was, when I was watching, I was a big fan of rightfully and unjustly the CW Arrowverse, and Flash season 1 was really dope. Like, it was well written. It had a fun story, good arcs. The monster of the week made sense. Like, it was fun acted. Like, it was a breath of it was fun. It was actually, I could say it was a solid first season. Then after that, every season was #Barry's fault. Everything that he did, it basically made a new villain, and that was the villain that they fought for that season. That literally lasted for, like, damn near 10 seasons. So I got to a point where I stopped watching And all I would do is watch the first episode previously on for like maybe 4 or 5, unless something came interesting. And then I would watch the end of the episode and then keep it moving. And so I felt myself doing that again to the Daredevil, where I watched the first episode. I was like, okay, cool.
You did it.
Second episode, I was like, what are we doing here? I texted Josh, why am I watching this? And I went to previously on, oh, hey, Jessica Jones here. Cool. Went back to that. Oh, that was a good episode. Right back to the same shit. And then finally got to the final episode, finished it. It was the most anticlimactic fall of a quote unquote antagonist I've ever seen in my life. Like everyone's grouping together. We're in the streets rioting against the bad dictator guy.
We're all Daredevil and the Daredevil masks. That was
it was so
hasn't that been done already
multiple times.
The only thing that was missing was the "We are all Daredevil" chant.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was really bad, and it was so unearned. And so, like, you're sitting there going through this whole thing, and I'm like,
and the reveal that the public reveal that that Matt Murdock is Daredevil was completely anticlimactic.
And so, again, something that's already been done with Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Like, come on,
and Iron Man.
And Iron Man.
So it was so anticlimactic. And so you get to this, like, season, and, high points, Jessica Jones, who I don't like, the actress, I don't like the character, in Daredevil was cool. Showed up at the right time, said the right things, punched a bunch of people, and it was cool. And how
does that work, though, with Daredevil now being outed as Matt Murdock? Like, is it...
That's... So the end of the to wrap everything up,
who knows?
After everything, Kingpin's in jail. They're trying to figure out blah, blah, blah. Ben Urich's daughter is now like a person that people matter about reporter wise. And so
he's the new Ben Urich.
Yeah. So then basically Karen and Matt are having dinner. It's quiet. They're in love, blah, blah, blah. Police come and then they arrest him for being Daredevil. And that's how it ends. Fades black.
So we don't know how they know he's Daredevil. They just all of a sudden show up.
Oh no, he outs himself.
He outs himself in the court and to basically get to bring down Kingpin, essentially.
Yeah, like
it's convoluted. It's convoluted and silly.
Kingpin was threatening to out him, and so he basically took away the one weapon that he had that would have. It makes a degree of sense, but there's no. It's. How can I put it?
That's how you know it don't make any sense at all.
No. I'm definitely not making excuses. I'm saying the way that they set it up ends up not really being like, you kind of like, okay, so what?
Bro,
it should have been oh shit, Matt's gonna out him. So like that should have been an eye-popping, eye-opening, like, oh shit, Matt's gonna out himself.
Yep.
And instead it's kind of like, all right.
Yep, the whole episode,
I would imagine that would be some top stakes for a character like Daredevil.
Exactly.
Bruce Wayne had revealed himself in The Dark Knight as Batman in that moment. Right.
And it was so anticlimactic that it was just like the season finale was a bunch of shrugging. Literally. And for some reason, Jessica Jones's powers are kind of off. So sometimes she got hit, sometimes she didn't. And so then like I go back to Kingpin because Kingpin's now seeing that he's lost his best right hand man. He's like struggling to cold power. Then he just starts going ape shit on everyone, just starts whooping everyone's ass. Now,
Vanessa dies.
Yeah, Vanessa dies. It's like so. Bullseye was another highlight. Weird. He was really fun. I thought he was cool every time he showed on the screen. But it was just a convoluted mess to the point where you get to the series finale, you're just like, I just want it to be over. Not that I don't even care about the resolution of what's been going on in this season. I just want this to wrap up so we can move on and just like tell me how Punisher is going to be in Spider-Man at this point, and
it's a series of unearned events is really what if you frame the things that happen around the big tentpole moments differently and you support them with shit that actually matters and that people would care about, I think all the big tentpole moments, Jessica Jones would have been an oh shit moment. The Matt doing the thing in court. So basically he says that he's that he's Daredevil. Nobody believes him because he's blind. And then he folds his stick and bounces it off, ricochets it off of like 3 things in the courtroom and then catches it without even looking. And,
that was cool.
Should have been that was cool to see. And it should have been like, oh shit, he outed himself, instead of like, oh, all right, I could see why he did that.
and the last just like shrug moment was now that Jessica Jones is back in New York because she's been living in the burbs with her kid and in a quiet life, and some goons come to try to take her out, quote unquote. She whips all their asses. Also, nice moment. They did a really good job with it. And then at the end, she's back to in New York. She's now going to be a PI with her PI firm, Alias, who walks through the door. Oh, shit, it's Luke Cage in a suit. Where you been, honey? Oh, I've been working for the government, but that's done now. Now
that's another story.
Yeah, that's a story for another time. I'm just happy to be home with my girl and my daughter. And it's, again, you're just like, all right.
So they are married, and it's his daughter.
Yeah, yes. That's what they basically established, essentially. But even that moment,
which tracks with the comics, right? Because don't they get married and
they have a kid? And like in the comics, Jessica is hyper protective of that child.
Yeah, and so I think what they, on a positive part, if they were going to do this, like bringing in Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, blah blah blah, and like even there's rumors about doing Heroes for Hire type of a situation with all 3 of them, plus even bringing back Danny Ryan, which is hilarious. But anyways, they're talking about doing that. Where if they do, that opens things like bringing back Misty Knight, who's awesome.
Colleen Wing,
and other
also awesome.
And Colleen Wing as well. So like, there's options to do good things, but I just think that it was such an anticlimactic way to do things that by the end it was just like, it almost felt like not as bad as The Boys, but it was like I take the back. It's actually worse than The Boys, because this was like super anticlimactic, where The Boys was limping along, at least tied up its threads, and even if it's not satisfied, you're kind of like, all right, cool, I guess that's cool.
Well, they landed the biggest moment, which is Homelander's fall. So I think that was what most people, even trudging through the sludge of storytelling that it was for the last 2 seasons.
It was still satisfying.
It was still a satisfying moment. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that Marvel got to do is just get out of this convoluted space and just look. Josh said it before on the X when we were talking about X-Men, which is just let it just adapt the characters as we know them. You don't need, like, if you do the show Heroes for Hire with the Cage family and Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, you don't need to do so much convoluted stuff. They are superpowered individuals who are helping people, and then some big thing happens that draws them in, and now there are big stakes, and they have to figure out how to solve it. That's it. That's all we need with these superhero stories. Like 8 episodes of that, you good. Daredevil, I don't know if his backstory is like more detective or just straight street vigilante going around seeing who needs help. But whatever it is, they need to get back to it and get out of this whole space of like, oh, it's, Wilson Fisk with this super weird, convoluted Trumpian plan to take over New York City, and the odd way that New York City is floating in and out of these epochs of crime, like that don't match up with nothing that's been happening in New York, in real life New York, for the last 10, 15 years. And it doesn't have
the comics.
Or the comics. And if it doesn't have to, but if you're going to go that route, pick that lane, stay it, because then it will be cool to see, okay, by the end of this story arc, they have cleaned up New York, and the fictional one now looks closer to the one in real life. And guess what? They didn't have to do stop and frisk to get there.
Yep,
I mean, if you want to be clever about it,
and I think that's interesting because like we going back to what we're saying with the X-Men, it's like, yeah, the stories are all there, right? You have some of the greatest, some of Marvel's best stories are in Daredevil, most of them by Frank Miller, but there's some really dope stories in there that are about ground level street vigilante, good versus evil. What's the line? When do you cross it? When you don't? And that's kind of Daredevil's thing, right? Like, he's always trying to be on the line in El Morals, but he's done some questionable things sometimes, and he fucks up. And I think that's the part that people actually enjoy about the Daredevil character. And I think in this, they kind of were just trying to be a little bit too cheeky, too little, just like, yeah, they just didn't tell a good story. And so,
yeah, and I think, and they're really trying to make all these moral conundrums that Matt has into these big things that they're not. Like they feel manufactured as opposed to earned.
Yeah, and some things he's going to equivocate on his faith because he is a Catholic.
Yeah,
right,
and that's a part of who he is and his identity. So,
and as flawed as the Netflix series might have been, as many flaws as it had, I wouldn't say the series itself was flawed, but as many, as imperfect as it was, they nailed those tentpole things, those pillars that made Matt Murdock who he is. You knew that he was a man of faith. You knew that he was a guy who had lines that he didn't cross, and those lines were clearly defined.
Yeah.
And he was put in regular situations where those lines were tested. How hardcore are you about these things that you say you will never do? And so in particular, while the hand storyline was kind of, it had its flaws, just the insertion of the hand and their ethos and the way that they go about business tested his ability to be able to say, I'm not going to kill, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do the other. When these cats are out there in like huge numbers, willing to do that pretty much to anybody for any reason that they deem worthy.
Yeah. But I was like, and I think that's a good way to leave it for both, actually, for Punisher and Daredevil. I think, we have pretty solid characters and pretty flawed outings of recent, and I'm not too sure where they go from here. Which they might not have to go that much further because there's a reset coming, fellas. It's a reset. You guys haven't heard. Doomsday is resetting everything.
They're probably gonna like we talked about during the new Spider-Man, the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer review and reaction. There's no way that they have the hand in that movie, and there's no Punisher, no Daredevil. It's impossible. There's nobody else that it could be. Again, we're talking about that shot with all that negative space where Spidey's
not
all
wrong.
the way up here.
You're not wrong.
Hands all the way down here, and there's nothing over here.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong.
More than anything, I'm just interested to see where they're going with any of this stuff. If I do, when I do see Spider-Man, just because now that it's not John Watts, I'm like, a little bit more reserved,
concerned,
but because I liked his Spider-Man series, and I thought that was a good way to go. That had that MCU aesthetic, but also kept it was kind of its own thing in a unique way. But we'll see what the new team can bring to it, and everything for the MCU is a big shoulder shrug right now. So we'll see.
Yeah,
they can make us once again feel that nerdy force for them.
Yeah, and then Brand New Day is directed by Dustin Daniel Cretton. I could say his last name wrong, but he was the one that did Shang-Chi as well as the Wonder Man series. So he's in this weird space where like Wonder Man got a lot of critical acclaim, but kind of mixed reviews from the audience. Shang-Chi, pretty solid, made some money to this thing. So I don't know. Like I said, I think John Watts did a really good job with Spider-Man.
So I hope we don't see Trevor Slattery again in this movie.
Oh,
now I see the conspiracy. Now I understand why he was in Wonder Man. Wonder Man's an actor, but did we really need Slattery? And look, I like Ben Kingsley. Whenever he shows up, it's always great. But that character just adds nothing.
Yep. You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. You're not wrong, and you're not wrong at all. With that, we're gonna leave it right there. And thanks for listening to us. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. All these good things. And we out. Deuces.